Welcome to the Real L's podcast. If you want to grow, learn, and elevate, you're in the right place. Let's get into the conversation.
What's going on, everybody? Salute, salute, salute. Welcome to the very first episode of the Real L's podcast. I'm your host, Ray Hendricks, and this podcast is about real life, real lessons, real losses, also real growth. Because every loss in life can either tear you down or build you up. Now, I think one of the biggest problems today is that people see so much success online, but they rarely hear the story behind, the pressure, pain, the rebuilding, setbacks, sleepless nights, and the emotional battles that people go through to fight to become who they are today. So this platform, we're going to be honest, no pretending, no fake motivation, just real conversations that help people grow mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and personally. So this episode today is sponsored by Men of Tempered Strength, a movement focused on discipline, emotional mastery, leadership, and legacy. And also sponsored by House of Tempered Strength, where the mindset is more than motivation. It's a lifestyle. So you can visit menoftemperedstrength.com, join the brotherhood, also hit that merch tab, and support the movement, y'all. Help me keep going with this thing. Now, before we get deeper into this episode, I just want people to understand something about me personally. Now, a lot of people know me from social media, business, real estate. Some know me from trucking, and some just simply know me as Coach Ray. But behind all of that, I'm just a man who had to rebuild himself multiple times in life. Now, I've experienced pressure, I've experienced setbacks, loss, heartbreak, disappointment, exhaustion, loneliness, uncertainty, and seasons where I had to question everything around me. Now, I'm pretty sure you all have gone through either that whole list with me or you guys have gone through some of that. Now, one thing I've learned through all of this is that strength is not pretending that nothing hurts. Strength is actually staying disciplined while you're actually going through the process of healing. Now, real strength is getting up every day when your mind is tired. Real strength is controlling your emotions when life gives you every reason to lose control. It actually introduced me to myself. I really was unfamiliar with myself until the pressure came in. And honestly, some of the hardest lessons and some of the hardest seasons of my life taught me more than the easy ones did. That's why today's episode is called Turning Losses into Lessons. I named it that because everybody takes losses, every single person, even you watching this. Some people lose relationships, money, confidence, opportunities. There's always some period of loss. It could be business. Some people actually lose a lot of their life being stuck mentally. And if we're being real here, sometimes the losses hurt because we attached our identities to things that were never meant to define us in the first place. That's a problem. Now, I want you to hear me, and I want you to hear me clearly, right? Loss is not proof that your life is over. Sometimes loss is redirection. It could come as protection. And actually, sometimes loss is the very thing that forces you to become stronger. I know it did for me. You know, um, One thing that pressure does is it reveals who you actually are. Pressure exposes your habits, it exposes your mindset, it also exposes your emotional discipline, your ability to be able to keep strong when things are falling down by the wayside. And pressure will also expose your ego, you know. It showed me a lot. It showed me who was really in my corner. It also, it also showed me like who collapsed under the pressure, you know. When you build your identity on like appearance instead of foundation, it's easily shaken. That's why emotional mastery matters. So you can't lead your life effectively if your emotions control your every decision. What you need to do is you need to make decisions by actually processing them, not making them emotionally. You can't build consistency if you only move based off of motivation, you know, or how you feel at the time. You definitely can't grow if you refuse to confront the areas of your life that need healing. I actually had to look at my life and figure out where I wanted to go in life. There were times where I've spiraled. There were times where I lost my temper. I did things that, I would never do today because I have more emotional mastery, you know. But what I've learned through everything is one of the most dangerous things people do after taking losses is staying like mentally stuck. Some people, they actually become victims forever. Some isolate themselves. I was one of those people. I didn't really want to be around people. And there are people who go through things and then blame everybody else. Some self destruct, some avoid accountability totally, and some try to distract themselves instead of healing themselves. And, you could distract yourself with drugs, sex, um, other people, work. You can't avoid your problems. You can't avoid your problems at all. Now, healing, it actually starts when honesty starts. And the most important person that you can be honest with is actually yourself. So you can't heal what you refuse to confront. Now, for me personally, rebuilding actually required structure, it required discipline, taking care of myself mentally, physically. It also required prayer, reflection, stillness. I had to sit still. It required me separating my emotions from decision making. And most importantly, it just required consistency. Even when I didn't feel motivated, I still moved. And one thing that I learned is this one thing: discipline will carry you where emotions cannot. Your life changes when your habits change. You know, that's exactly why I actually built Men of Tempered Strength. Because with Men of Tempered Strength, I wanted to create a space where men could grow without pretending, a place that's focused on emotional mastery, leadership, accountability, discipline, somewhere where you feel purposeful and you feel like you're part of a brotherhood. Too many men were out there silently struggling while trying to just appear strong publicly. And what I believe is that men, we definitely need community, and men need structure. We need purpose. We need real conversations with real men that actually help us grow, you know? Now, if that message speaks to you, I want you to visit menoftemperedstrength.com, join the brotherhood, get connected with some of us, explore the courses, and most importantly, support the House of Tempered Strength, support the store. Like I said, you can go to the merch tab on the website and it'll take you right to the store. Now, over time, this podcast is going to continue growing. I will have guests. And we will have spotlight segments and things like that featuring businesses, entrepreneurs, leaders, creators, and people with real stories. But I really wanted to take this first episode to kind of introduce myself and tell you what the mission of this whole Real L's podcast would be. So I just wanted to make sure that I laid a foundation for you all. So I wanted this first episode to be real. I hope that you got something from it because I know somebody listening right now is rebuilding and somebody feels exhausted. Somebody, is feeling discouraged. There's a lot of emotions there. And I need you to understand something. I need you to understand that your current season does not define your final destination. So that breaking season that you're going through right now is actually meant to be a building season. So keep pushing yourself, keep building yourself, keep healing, learning, growing, leading, keep going. And remember this, The pressure, it doesn't destroy strong men, it actually reveals them. I'm Ray Hendricks. This is the Real L's podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's Ray Hendricks Speaks. Make sure you like this video, share this with somebody who needs it. And also, I'll see you guys on the next episode. And thank you for joining me right now.